It is draft week. We are headed to Detroit for the show on Thursday. Our final mock draft on the show will be Wednesday. We have Dan Orlovsky talking about the draft coming up at 6 p.m. JP Finley's going to check in one of the next 2 days. We're working on a bunch of other stuff. Like, simply put, it's almost here. And with the Commanders holding such a critical pick in the 2024 draft, you would think that we'd have a clue. And if you thought that, you would be wrong. We have what feels like a million clues, and none of them seem to add up to lead anywhere. And it is to spend time reading about the draft right now or listening to podcasts. And I'm not talking about like random people, right? I'm talking about people who know stuff, people that have sources in the league, people that watch tape, people that do these evaluations, and that typically are very reliable for good sources of where to go to create understanding. If you listen to them right now, you are 100% confident that the Commanders are taking Jayden Daniels until you listen to the next guy who's 100% confident that they are taking Drake Maye. Until you listen to the next guy that says, actually, JJ McCarthy is above Drake Maye on the Commanders' board and is still very much in the mix to potentially pass Jayden Daniels and be the pick on Thursday. I have absolutely zero idea what's going to happen Thursday. If I had to predict right now and I had to place money, it would be where the odds aren't going to get me very much return. That is going to be with Jayden Daniels. It's probably the pick. The entire NFL seems to think that is who it is. And you've got people like Daniel Jeremiah going on McAfee's show today saying, yep, I have to just, eventually you hear it from enough places that I have to take my personal bias out of it. I have to take my own personal opinion out, both in what he thinks of Drake Maye as a player and how he thinks Drake Maye fits with the Commanders, and just go, everyone says it's Daniels, so I guess it must be Daniels. I look up right now on NFL Live where I see Adam Schefter talking. I would love to know, and if you want to pop on the sound of Schefter and monitor what he's saying in case he says anything crazy. But they immediately go to Jayden Daniels highlights as I watch NFL Live right now. Again, Orlovsky going to call in as soon as he gets done with NFL Live coming up at 6 o'clock today. Then on Kevin Sheehan's podcast today, that came out this morning, the Sheehan Show podcast, John Keim was the guest, who I trust more than anyone on anything Commanders specific, and he had this to say about kind of where they are right now.
If I were to tell you that Jayden Daniels wasn't the pick, but they picked a quarterback at number 2, based on the last minute, you mentioning JJ McCarthy more than Drake Maye, is it fair to say that John Keim would predict or would guess the best chances would be JJ McCarthy at 2 over Drake Maye?
Probably. I don't, and that's probably.
Okay.
Yeah. How's that?
Perfect.
Like, the hard part is, unless you hear it from a high thing, like, it's really hard to know. So, like, you can start to overthink some things, and you start to piece some things together, and it's like if the order was that, it would not surprise me at all.
Okay, then. John Keim, it would not surprise me at all. Could mean just that at face value, and I hate doing this to John. So, John, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I'm parsing your words like this. But it could mean he really doesn't. It wouldn't surprise him. It could mean he knows something. It could be just a best guess based off what he knows about other things of the way they think. It's wild. And the thing is, Daniel Jeremiah knows Adam Peters very, very well. They've known each other for a long time. And for DJ to go on McAfee's show and be like, everyone says it's Jayden Daniels, but that's not what I would guess for them. I just don't think anybody knows. And the problem with that is there are a lot of people who get paid to know. And unless Adam Peters is the one that tells you, you don't know. And that is just the reality of where we are right now with this quarterback situation. Is there is not a single person outside of Adam Peters. And I don't even know that, like, of course they have conversations. There's Lance Newmark probably has a pretty good idea. Dan Quinn probably has a good idea. Josh Harris probably has a pretty good idea. So there are certainly people that know more than the rest of us, but none of those people are talking. None of those people are giving intel. None of those people are giving information. And ultimately, Adam Peters, in year one, making this incredibly important pick, has probably kept this really close to the vest. And again, it's also a close decision. And so what I do think is interesting, and where I kind of want to take this conversation, besides a circular, I don't know, which is all we've done so far, is there does seem to be a disconnect. And this is what I want to talk about with Orlovsky coming up at 6. And there does seem to be a disconnect between the NFL and, like, the people who study it, right? So I was reading my guy Ben Solak earlier. He did his mock draft for The Ringer. He does one and one only mock draft every year. Ben's really smart. Ben studies it at a level that most people don't. Ben did really, and actually want to have him on the show this week and see if we can schedule it to talk about it. He does this really intense charting of quarterbacks, which is really illuminating. For instance, everyone thinks Michael Penix is very accurate. Solak's like, well, when you actually chart it, he's one of the least accurate guys that I've done the last 5 years. Like, yeah, his completion percentage is high, but when you look at, like, ball placement, his receivers bail him out a lot. And that's part of the reason that Penix is farther down on a lot of NFL boards. You got other people being like, he should be a top 5 pick. And it's like, nah, the old dude with bad knees and an accuracy problem isn't exactly the ideal prospect. And Solak literally typed out in his mock draft, Daniels to DC never passed the smell test for me. Everything that NFL teams look for in a quarterback is who Drake Maye is. And I see other people, like, good points. You know, hey, Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels is the guy to best start a game tomorrow. And it's like, why are you caring about starting a game tomorrow? I want to know who's going to help you win a championship. And it just seems like from a lot of people, some of whom used to be in the league. It's not like all media types that, like Drake Maye, are people that have no NFL experience or a bunch of nerds who just read and study and then try to, talk to NFL people at the combine at a bar at 2 a.m. No, these are like, Nate Tice coached in the league. His dad obviously was an NFL head coach for a long, long time. Like, you got people that are former scouts and former coaches that really like Drake Maye. And I can't figure out why there are so many of those guys who like Maye, and then seemingly anyone who has any thing to do with the NFL more concretely, longer stints of people who were in the league and are now in the media, your Louis Riddick's, your Mark Ross's, etc., or people with sources that are talking to other people around the league, like Todd McShay. McShay said on Pardon My Take the other day, he has not talked to a single person in the league who has Maye higher than Daniels. I find that preposterous. I don't understand that. So it's something that, not that I don't understand that it's possible, like, obviously I could see why you have Jayden above Drake. I don't understand how it's that concrete amongst everyone that Todd McShay talks to. That seems crazy to me. And so I don't even know if I have a point here. I don't know if I've somehow, Anthony, have I talked for 12 minutes and said anything? I feel like there's been some information relayed.
Yeah.
I've laid out the conundrum that we're in. I don't know that I'm any closer to solving it. I think we just need to bring back football therapy.
That would be good.
Let's see if we can talk it out. Let's see if we can spend the next 15 to 30 minutes just talking it out. Commanders fans to Commanders host to Commanders producer over there, Ant, and his side of the glass. We're just bunch of dudes and ladies talking ball, trying to figure out if we can figure out this whole quarterback thing. No one else seems to have it figured out, but let's give it a shot. 301-230-0980. We'll talk about it with Dan Orlovsky at 6 o'clock. 301-230-0980. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, and we're always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, this is DA, and you're listening to The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.